Reader Mail.
Number 10.
Hello and welcome to Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast / Reader Mail podcast. Dang. Of course, I make a big statement last time and then I ruin it myself.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, but oh well. I'm your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me for majority, I'm never going to let you live that one episode down. Either way, I'm proud of you for being here for the rest of them. But yeah, Mr. Saul Bridges.
You threw me off because I say Saul Bridges. So you just said it for me. So this is...
Hey, this is
Saul
Reader
Bridges, bringing you guys lucky episode 10 for Reader Mail. For those that don't know, this is a deviation from our normal podcast where we host those every Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time. No,
and we chug Dr. Pepper dark berries.
10 a.m.
Like
this is a mess.
Crunk.
10 a.m. PST, noon Central Time over there on YouTube and all podcast services that you can find, as well as earlier episodes on Patreon. When we get around to that here real shortly. And, of course, you can find this Reader Mail, a more personalized, more M-rated production every other Friday. And, of course, pretty much Wednesday nights, Wednesday morning, Tuesday nights on Patreon, if you're one of our patrons. We pretty much release it as it gets done finishing up processing and everything. So you get it a couple days early there. And we ask you guys to ask us questions every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday across Twitter, Discord, YouTube comments, Patreon, and Facebook.
Saul, I absolutely love letting you start the show.
Well, you done threw me off through a loop. I did it perfectly last episode. Everybody who watched last episode knows. But then you threw me off by saying my name, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yep, I ruined everything.
I introduced myself, not you. And then I was like, lucky episode 10. And then I was like, okay, let's talk about this show.
I know what we'll do. We'll come to a conclusion here. This is going to be we're meeting up, and this is going to be our, why can I not think of the word right now? Where two people... compromise. Our compromise for this situation will be that next episode official of the show, you can open up and then you can introduce me and yourself, and then we will be even. So
no. Let's just keep this like where you introduce the show, then I'll take the intro for Reader Mail. I like that.
Fine.
I'm used to that. You see what happens when I'm not used to things.
And I ruin it. All right. Yeah. Like Saul said, these are far more loose and we can go anywhere with these. So just in case you are used to the main podcast being safe for work, this could get into some sketchy territory. But I think we're going to start off hitting off with some of our Facebook questions, move over into Twitter, and then finish things up with our Discord. So like he said, if you want to give us any questions, you can head over to any of those places and drop them in where we normally put posts up on Facebook and Twitter. And we have a dedicated channel for it in Discord. So if you ever have a question pop in your mind, go over there, throw it in the Discord if you're there. But I'm going to start things off with a new, at least as far as it goes, community member in terms of interacting with us, Mr. Danny Candyman Villalobos. And I probably messed up your last name, to be honest. Just tell me if I did. And tell me how to say it, and next time I'll have it right. But he said, reading the God of War novelization currently, and I'm having a great time with it. Not only does it tell the story almost exactly as the game, it goes more in depth with small details that were not explored more. Mainly, they go into Atreus' thoughts and what he was doing while Kratos was away in Alfheim. What other games would you like to see be novelized to see more of the plot be explored?
You know, that's a really good question.
It's a great question.
I assumed the question was going to go to what other novelizations are your favorite, and I automatically had Halo novels in my head.
Which
that's
are any of the Halo novels, and I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry.
No, you're
are any of the Halo novels tie-ins exactly to the game story, or they are all extended universe to an extent, right?
Reach was the prequel that, of course, had a game made after it.
Yeah, but it was a book first, right?
Except in the Reach novel, it actually followed Master Chief when he was a kid, as well as the other ones that were mentioned in Reach, which, of course, Master Chief wasn't really present in for the game. But I'm trying to think of the timeline here so I can get the question right. It goes Reach, First Strike, The Flood, and then The Ghost of Onyx. And The Flood was pretty much a novelization of Halo 1.
Okay.
But then the rest are surrounding it. I don't think I have that timeline right. But, yeah, like, I never thought about that. Like, Atreus having more, not character, but it being more developed in the book.
Well, okay, so a thing about the game, and this part in particular, it's not gonna be, I'm not going to go into really huge spoiler territories by any standard, but these parts of the games get pretty interesting because when Kratos was away in Alfheim, there's a specific spot he's talking about, and Atreus is just gone, and we don't see what he has going on at all. In what seems like a few seconds, ends up not being that situation in the real realm. And what happens is that you don't know at all what happened to Atreus in that entire time. So it's cool to let a book go into that. And another thing I think would be really cool, and this does, again, lightly tread into potential spoiler territory. So if you want to just hit mute for a few seconds, and then I will, I don't know how to get out of that. But there's a part where something happens to Atreus, and Kratos has to take him somewhere. And in that particular situation, Corey Barlog, the person who wrote the game, actually talked over and over again about how they actually wanted to have way more involved with that, but because of budget and time constraints, they had to cut it down to something a lot more simple that could still show what they were going for. And I think what's cool about a novelization is that because it came after the game was already so successful, they could choose to go more in depth with that the way that Corey originally wanted to, and explore a part of the game that we originally were meant to see but didn't end up happening. So I think that's a good way to go about that. As far as another game that I would like to see be novelized so I can see more of the plot, I think that I really like what this is doing, where you're novelizing the main story, but you're allowing parts to where in game and in gameplay it doesn't make sense to expound on certain areas because it's just going to break the flow or the pacing too much. But in a book you can do that because you can find a way to more intimately tie it in, because you're not worried about gameplay systems and all these other things, and of course budget and time constraints like that. So in this particular case, I'm trying to think of games that fit the need that. And I think a lot of them, the other thing is some of them have been done,
I
right?
have a perfect one that has never been done in my knowledge.
Go ahead.
A pure novelization. I was just saying that word perfectly fine a minute ago, but a pure novelization has never been done of anything in the Final Fantasy series, and that would be dope to me.
I think you're right.
I don't think that there's ever, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but before you do that, I'm going to correct myself and say that First Strike was in fact before the flood. But anyways, it would be really cool to have Final Fantasy 12 specifically a book, because that sounds like, honestly, if that came out as a book first, like 20 years ago, that would be on Dune levels of high fantasy popularity. So I think that would be something.
12
really,
has
really
a great
cool.
story. I think where it hit a lot of people weirdly.
There's a lot of cool technology.
Was the
too.
gameplay.
Yeah.
And not that it was bad. It's just I remember it coming out and it was real divisive when it came out because of that. But yeah, I could see that. And it's also, you follow a single character, but there's a lot of other characters that you can explore more in depth than a game chooses to typically in those moments. Final Fantasy is a pretty good one. I wouldn't mind, as much as this may sound crazy, because I think the DLC has done this to an extent, but the game is kind of out. While we're on the case of Final Fantasy, because of how bad it was at launch in terms of the story, I wouldn't mind seeing the original intention for 15 without all the weird stuff.
Versus.
Seeing what 15 was going to end up before whatever, because that was really restarting development over and over and over again, to the point where the game that we got from Final Fantasy 15 was a game that they developed in like 2 to 3 years, not a game that was developed over 12 years like you would think, with the original unveiling of 13 Verses. The original premise of 13 Verses didn't hold really at all. The only thing that he ended up keeping from that was the character set list, for the most part, and that was really just the main group, and they still changed some of what they did and looked like, but kept names and stuff. I think 15 would be an interesting one. Where I was going to go with it would be Nier, but a lot of the Nier and Drakengard things actually do have book adaptations that dive into other things, or really I'll say media across the board, because there's a Nier Automata is actually a sequel to a play that Yoko Taro.
You were literally about to say it. I'm like, why is he not saying it?
Anyway,
you literally said yo, and then you stopped.
I know.
I'm like,
I don't know where my brain went, but it went somewhere. Anyway, so Yoko Taro did a play that was specifically about all the people leading up, and it includes A2. And it talks about how A2's unit got to where it was, and then this is a sequel that happens after that, and that's where the idea came from. And then there's also books and stuff that he's done, or written things that they've done and performed in different ways that go into extra stuff that leads into Nier Automata, things that lead after Nier Automata. There's books and stuff that tie into specifically the original Nier and some of the Drakengard stuff. So I think that a lot of them have been done, but Final Fantasy is a good one, and I think it's a great way to take really big, huge worlds like that and be able to expand them even further, even though you're talking about Final Fantasy games, which tend to have stories that are in the 30-hour plus.
Well, that's
range.
the beauty about a book too, is that something that could take you 4 hours to do is like 10 pages.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, with that, thank you, Danny. Appreciate
Yes,
you. Hope
thank
to
you.
hear more questions from you. Hope you enjoy the group. I'm gonna start trying to be more active in it, and that's something I got to keep trying to press on. But we will work on that for sure. Next up, though, Mr. Josh Shoop asked best dog/cat in video game history and why.
My cat I had in Minecraft.
Your Ocelot.
Yes.
Okay.
It followed me around everywhere.
Okay, there's a game called Fur Fighters for anybody who wants to hook it up. It was a Dreamcast game, or at least that's what I played it on. It was probably on other systems. Came out in June 23rd of 2000, and the main dog's name was Rufus. And, I love that game, and I'm very fond of it. It's one of the earliest games I played, even though it was hell to play on the Dreamcast as one analog nub. That's my boy right there. Anyway, good times. And if you've not played the game, it's super aged, and I really probably wouldn't tell you to play it, but it's so tied to my memory that that's kind of like one of those earliest dog examples, and it's just something tied to me because I love that game. I have a big soft spot for it, based off of my brain is just not want to work right now. Nostalgia. There we go. There we go. Rufus from Fur Fighters. Why? Because honestly, just because it plays a big part of my gaming history and my childhood.
And my kitty cat, my Ocelot in Minecraft, it took me like a good 2 days to chase him down with a fish in my hand to get him to love me.
Back when it was harder.
Yes.
Early days.
Back before I think you could actually have domestic cats in the game now.
You're right. Cats. You can have a real cat. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Sony, get Minecraft Realms on PS4.
Well, hey, they're bringing EA access to PS4. Anything's possible.
Anything's possible now, except emulating PS3.
Saul, Mr. Josh Drago asked, did you saw that video of him doing fart sounds of Game of Thrones?
Yes. And that was not me, but I can see where you're coming from, Josh. That was my evil twin brother. His name is Zal, and he comes from the planet Mektar.
Yes. Okay. Going back to Josh Shoop real quick, he says, can Saul sing like Frank Sinatra? Can Brett sing like Little Richard? I
can't sing. I'm just going to save you that right there.
Let me make sure that I'm right on who Little Richard is. Okay. I can't sing like Little Richard. Though, I could probably get a little close. It's not... I'm not going to do it on these microphones because we don't run the right type of compressor for me. I have to really lean back and not blow this mic out.
Get your non-sponsored water bottle out of the way so I can see the audio levels. Thank you. I just don't want another reader mail incident to happen again since we're on strict
the curse
times.
of the reader mail?
Well, I was going to say we're on strict times today just because of my selfishness of wanting to play Destiny and get
I don't blame you, Saul.
Perfection.
We do this for the passion and the love, but also that doesn't mean we should let it get in the way of other things, right? All right. So, Saul, do you think you can sing like Frank Sinatra?
I can't sing at all.
Oh, actually?
The closest... I was going to say, the only person I can sing or any style I can sing as, that's Mark Hoppus because he's already monotone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say that one of these, very soon y'all will hear Saul's sweet, savory voice.
You'll see it. You'll see it the same day you see this if you're not a patron, right? Friday.
I done said it now. I think so.
I done said it now.
There is a couple of other things that we have to make sure are set in place before we put the teaser out, but it's...
No, we already got the recording dates and stuff down. We're good.
I think we do, so we should be okay.
It'll just be 3 weeks out.
We will see what happens. I'm not going to guarantee anything yet, but keep your eyes peeled. And also...
your ears closed.
Because I've still kept that as my ringtone. I just want you to know, Blaze made a great idea. He said we should give that ringtone out to patrons once we get going into
I'll do
it.
that.
And I think that would be pretty funny.
Copyright strike my voice.
What's funny is we could give them your entire take.
Don't do that. I don't agree. I don't sign that copyright there.
You don't consent. Okay, nope. Next question comes from, let's see, the next two are Josh Soup, and we'll get those out of the way real quick. It says, without saying both, what is the stronger / more important quality somebody could have in life? A strong mind or a strong heart?
Heart.
The only thing that gets me weird about these questions like this is that you do have to kind of play this game of what exactly does someone mean when they say heart?
Nope, just heart. Just somebody that means well. I don't care if they're dumb as bricks, but if they mean well, they try hard because they want to.
But he's saying which one's more important
to me, heart.
Quality somebody could have. And the only reason I say that it might be mind, I think I'm going to lean towards you. The only argument I have toward mind, though, would be specifically the fact that if you're not very strong of mind, regardless of how strong a heart you are, eventually things can break you.
Well, you're just Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you love Forrest Gump.
I do love Forrest Gump. So
imagine meeting somebody you're the cream of your crop, and
I really wish you would have said the dream of your crop.
The dream of your crop, and
The dream of your crop.
They don't have any emotions. They're just like, I love you. It's just like cold.
Yeah, but I don't think that he's saying it has to be a weak heart. But I think I agree. I do tend to. I am very much my moral compass rests very much, not entirely, but it rests very much on intention. And not all intention is obvious, to be fair, and definitely when you're dealing with text and something like that. But I mean, in this particular situation, if I'm thinking of everything happening out in the real world, I stay hard as well because of that. I think when you look at that situation, if people mean well, typically I'm with them, and I think that that's a better quality to have, because a strong mind doesn't mean that you're not going to be doing manipulative stuff and whatnot. So let's see, last question from him. He says, as you are both gentlemen in your mid to late 20s, y'all are kids to me, is what he said, what would you say is a better knowledge to know as an adult? Book smarts or street smarts, and why?
Books, 100% sure. Because I'll tell you this, if you are book smart, eventually with enough public exposure, you will become street smart. It does not work the other way around as easy.
Fair enough.
As easy. I'll say that. You could easily be street smart and become book smart. It's just much harder to make that transition, and then instead of the opposite.
I think I see where you're going with it. The only reason,
like if you come out the
I think it really depends, right? Because if you're too book smart and that's really essentially all the knowledge that you really have, then you have no real perception of the real world, right?
No.
Perfect example of this, and I'll just bring, and I'm curious because I don't know if you knew anybody who was like this growing up, but one of the big discussions around why you don't typically homeschool your kids.
And they don't get the public exposure.
They don't understand social cues. They don't understand culture that happens with their age. So, like, people who were homeschooled whenever we were going to school are not going to understand the same cultural things that were going on while we were in school and all talking about it, unless their parents are very active in making sure that the kids are involved in a lot of extracurricular stuff, which is really hard to do.
I do think that
But that's why I say,
excuse me.
To an extent, street smarts gives you a little bit more of an all-around edge because it gives you the ability to more reasonably talk to somebody, more reasonably understand cultural references, societal cues.
Yeah. But being book smart, you'll know English real good. So
I'm gonna stick with street smarts.
I'm gonna stick with book smarts.
Gotcha. Thank you, Josh. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
All right, let's see. Get up to this next one. Josh asked another one on a different date: lime or green apple Skittle?
Green. Whoa! That was a trap. I thought lime or green apple. That was the case. I was saying green apple. No, lime. Like all the way that we.
Lime is the classic green Skittle, right?
Yes, lime is the green Skittle. You can have the whole handful and throw it in your mouth, and it won't taste funky.
See, that's where I was going to go with it as well.
You don't eat Skittles one by one.
I'm proud of you. I know people who do, and it bothers
me.
Me.
You're weird.
I know people.
Take that
now,
as a
this
life
one's
fact.
real weird. I know somebody who separates them by colors and then takes a handful of that one color.
No, that's just too obsessive for me.
Yeah, me too.
I thought you were going to say you know people who put them in a bowl and put milk in them. I knew a kid like that growing up.
I've heard of that.
I think he's in prison now, actually. I'm not even kidding. I think he's really in prison.
Well, Saul, if you think that's bad, but when we talked about Justin talking about all the weird things that you do with food.
I'm telling you. I'm going to show you guys how to boil a pizza.
If you really figure that out.
I'm sure, let me Google something real quick.
Well, I guess you could boil it by putting it in something that won't penetrate water-wise, but will still let the heat go through.
You could technically do a large pan full of water, and then you could do another pan upside down with the pizza on top. And let
the heat transfer through?
Yeah, and cook the pizza.
But that's not technically boiling.
It is technically boiling.
What is broiling?
The broiler underneath the oven?
Yeah, but what is that? Like, what is that? I've never used it.
Honestly, that's one of your best go-to things when you're making frozen pizza because you take the pizza out and the crust is nice. And if you're like me, I like my crust a little, white, like not quite golden brown, crispy.
Okay.
On
I was waiting to see if you were making a joke.
No. And what I do is I'll take it out, I'll let it cool down for 10 minutes, and then I'll put it back in on the broiler for 1, and then it gets the cheese on top nice and crispy.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Yeah. So I'm with him though. The classic Skittles work so well because you just throw them all in your mouth at once and they taste great.
I found a bag like that about a year ago, and it was the family size bag, and I went ahead and just bought it. And like me and Andy ate it over the course of like a month.
It's good stuff, man.
You
It's
just throw
good
a
stuff.
handful in every now and then.
Where if you get some of those other, and I like some of the other Skittles flavors like the wild berry, but if you throw all of the wild berry in your mouth at once, it can get a little hectic and weird in there. You know what I mean?
I don't like any other flavor of Skittles except sour.
Oh, sour Skittles.
Sour's really good. I'll make my tongue raw.
Yes.
But yeah,
they eat your mouth up. It's like
boy.
Okay, it's like Captain Crunch in candy form because like Captain Crunch is cereal. If you eat it without it being soggy like you like to do, but if you eat Captain Crunch when it's all crunchy, dude, eat that for a week straight. By the end of that week, your mouth is gonna be. So I'll post this in the Discord.
I'm going to post this in the Discord right now. I don't think Justin's in the Discord, is he?
Justin's not in the Discord. Go to Twitter, find this man, send it to him. I love it. I love it.
Oh, man.
Speaking of Justin, he has a question for us on Facebook, and I think this is our last one, but I will double check that. He says, what's one gaming memory you have as a kid/young teen that's crystallized in your memory that you can remember every detail? For me, it's playing Mass Effect on 360 around lunch, where my brothers were asleep in our shared bedroom, the air conditioner slightly buzzing in the background. The chill. God.
No context to that. It's hilarious.
The chill of my can of Mountain Dew, trying not to move in the chair much so I don't wake them, sneaking downstairs for a snack. I can almost play it back in my head like a movie. So a gaming memory that's instilled in you. This is Justin.
Let's save this, pin it, because Kiki asked a question the same. And we'll just, when we go to Discord, our final place, we'll just answer them both at the same time.
Fair enough.
Kiki has a question that is the exact same, which I'm not saying is bad. I like that because I think 2 good ones, but we'll see.
Okay.
So that was it for Discord?
That's it for Discord.
I mean, Facebook, on to Twitter.
Facebook.
Let's see. Sean Horn says, with the PS5 reportedly getting an exclusivity period with GTA 6, did Sony already win the next-gen console war? If that's true, they have a lot of traction. A lot of traction. Like hundreds of millions of dollars in traction. I don't think that's true, though.
See,
there's been a lot of things about this going around, and I do not think it will ever be true.
Do you feel like this ties into the rumor that Sony was going to be buying Take-Two?
That was 2 months ago, rumor, though? Wasn't that denied?
Yeah. As far as I know, but one of these things that goes back is have you heard in the gaming sphere, and I'm sure you have, of the long running thing where Rockstar owes Sony an exclusive or exclusivity period, or they owe them something, because of Agent and all the stuff that never went around, and something else. I think it was just Agent.
I thought there was another one there.
But anyway, because of that, and Sony was the one who was funding all that or something like that. So there's this long running thing that people always talk about where Rockstar owes PlayStation, right? And of course, PlayStation's in a really great spot right now with their console. But you got to look at this from a business perspective, right? If you were going to tell me that Grand Theft Auto 6 was coming to PS4 and it was getting a temporary exclusivity period on PS4 specifically, I'd be more inclined to believe it because from a business perspective,
PS4 or PS5?
PS4, and I'm saying this specifically.
So
because PS4 has a wealthy, it has a wealth of an install base at this point, right? We're at almost 100 million consoles. So if you're going to put if you're going to make a game exclusive on one console right now, and given an exclusivity period, it would make sense to do it on the one that you already have a great relationship with, which we know is true with Rockstar and Sony, and they have great marketing relationship, as we already know is true with Rockstar and Sony. And then lastly, it's a console that is over double what the competition is. That game is only going to come out on 2 consoles anyway, Xbox and PlayStation 4. So if you were to tell me right now that Grand Theft Auto 6 was a 2020 release on PS4 and Xbox One, or on PS4 for a 6 month to 1 year exclusivity period versus Xbox. I would be more inclined to believe it only because on a business level it makes more sense. You have to think about these companies. Why would a company like Rockstar and Take-Two choose to move a game exclusively to one console at all, realistically, when they're leaving out a potential 40 million customers on the opposing side, if not more? We don't know the last time. I mean, Xbox has never really officially given their numbers, so it's estimated somewhere around 40 to 50 million. But with that said, that's what I keep coming back to is, from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense for Take-Two to gimp themselves by taking away a third, if you think about the combined Xbox One, PS4 sales base, a third of their potential customer base. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah, honestly, if they're going to do it and it was PS4, since we know it's backwards compatible with PS5, makes sense.
The thing about PS5 that doesn't make sense is that it's going to be a refresh to an extent, and there's no guarantee, as much as I hope that it works out this way, there's no guarantee that PS5 blows up the same way as PS4 did. There's no guarantee that people will... It's a ways away. Another financial crisis could happen. A number of things could happen that could slow it down.
There's a question pertaining to what you're talking about here in just a second. We'll get.
So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much my end of that. Is that if true, absolutely, Sony's got a huge chunk of traction above it, but this would not be close to the launch of the PS5 anyway. That we know that Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't coming for a long time, specifically because the creators talked about that, unless they were lying, which does happen.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, it's unlikely, and even if it did happen, it would be a great move for Sony, but it'd be years into the PS5's release where it'd make more of a business decision sense. And that by that point, it may be true, because if Microsoft stops being a standalone platform like they are currently and end up going to where Microsoft exists, or Xbox specifically exists on PlayStation and Nintendo and PC, then yeah, it technically would be exclusive to PlayStation as a console.
Yeah. So that would honestly be the only way I would see it. So good question though.
Yep.
Let's see. We have one that's somewhat confusing from Ozaji Lover. He says, do you do disc for PSP games as well, or strictly PlayStation? And I think he's talking about Brett's with custom cases.
I think so too.
And if we're wrong, let us know, and we'll get it amended in the next email.
I would love to know exactly what you're asking.
If he's asking
on the physical versus digital side of thing, but I don't think that's what it is. Then I mean, I get physical as much as possible, and Saul gets digital as much as possible, which is pretty much
100% now.
Yeah. So, and if it's in regards to the cases, no, I haven't made any PSP or Vita cases, but there's nothing keeping me from doing it. So we'll see.
On a similar leaf, Noble 6 says digital versus physical. I prefer physical, and I prefer digital.
Yeah,
Noble 6. We talked about that quite a lot.
We have, and I'm definitely on the physical side of things.
Yeah, and I always like it when it's brought up too. So good question. I like it when it's brought up because it's always a fun topic to talk about, and then no matter what, it seems that when we talk about it, other things get brought up in the discussion in our Discord about it. So I like hearing people talk about that as well, because I'm very much an avid digital person. I believe our last question. Oh, no. Two more. Both from Sean One Neo. He says, with the hype surrounding the new details of PS5, do you think that Sony still has potential to be too cocky and drop the ball like they did with the PS3? What mistakes do you think Sony needs to avoid?
What mistakes do you want Sony to make?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, Shattered Glass responded to him, and he said, do not make tech too difficult for devs. Make sure it's still a physical media console.
Which we
Make sure it's triple backwards compatible. That one I do not think we're getting, but he does imply with PS4 and PS2 games, which would be pretty cool. And of course PS5. And do not ask us to pay $600 for the console. And Sean One liked that as well or we liked that, and then Sean One retweeted that.
So I agree with most of that list. I think the number one thing is cool and unique as the cell architecture was for the PS3. It was very different, odd, and gave developers, definitely third-party developers, a lot of hell. So in that regard, I do agree. But we know that it's going to be x86 architecture. They've already talked about that. In regards to moving forward, that's pretty much going to be what everybody's on. It makes sense when you're dealing with PS4 backwards compatibility that it will be easier to achieve that on the x86 architecture. So that should be a problem that doesn't exist. If we're talking about what was his other thing?
Triple backwards compatibility.
Yeah, but he said something else. I don't know why I'm skipping. You just said it. So don't make it too
difficult.
Make sure
it's physical media.
Make sure it's a physical media console. They've already said that it will have a disk drive on this time around, so we know it'll still be physical media based. So that's not something to worry about. Making it triple backwards compatible. I'm pretty sure we already know PS4 is coming. I would not be surprised for PS2, PS1 though. Nothing is. You never know, because for some reason PS4 still can't play PS1 games or even CDs at all, which is weird, but it is what it is. So in that situation, I think the only thing I don't know is that we're in a healthier economy than we once were. Gaming is at an all-time high, I would say. We're doing really well across all boards. And I would say that if any time was ever going to be a time to be able to come out with a console at $600 that would be a beast of a console, now is or even next year, from everything that we see right now, is probably the closest time you're going to get that. And I would only see them doing that if they're going to forego a mid-gen refresh. So if they come out with a console that's $600 at launch, they are not going to have a PS5 Pro 2 years later, I would really think. Now, of course, the sweet spot with this would be $500, but I also think that I don't think that you're going to get as big of a jump as you would want if you want to still pay $400 at launch. Some of what we're going to want and some of what we've already heard of is going to cost. And that comes down to things like the solid state drive.
Right.
That's not going
to... currently unfathomable tech right there.
Exactly. And we don't even know what size yet or any of that. So
it has to be a terabyte.
It has to be more than a terabyte if you think about games
that's what I'm
getting
saying.
bigger.
At the very least,
if we're going to have native 4K textures, games are going to get huge.
Yeah.
You remember the Xbox One X patches that came for like Gears of War 4 and stuff, that the patch to add in the
like
4K textures
at least
were like
something?
80, 60 gigabytes, 100 gigabytes just for textures and stuff. And that's, you got to think about that. Games are going to continue to get bigger because of that, so we need more storage room, considering that the PS5 will likely do exactly what PS3 and PS4 did, or PS4 actually makes you do, but PS3 did to some extent as well, install the games on your hard drive.
Yeah, and I pretty much agree with what you're saying. $600, possibly too high up there for the price versus the performance upgrade we're going to get, which for what we currently have, is that really going to be worth the extra $200?
I think it'll only be worth it if you go that much higher, to be honest.
What do you mean?
I think that the only way you get a console that feels like a good enough jump is going to be if you make something that coming out of the gate that justifies the $600 price point.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that if it justifies it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think
if it's a $500 console, you're edging too close to diminishing returns to an extent. You'll get some benefits, but
similar to the Xbox One X.
Kinda. The Xbox One X should have been a bigger jump than it was, but it was kept back because of old hardware.
Yeah.
That was and that's probably part of why it was able to still be $500. But look, I think $500 to $600 is probably where we're going to be at, and I just think that that's true. As far as Sony getting too cocky, there's a million things that they could do. They could just be stubborn in the same way as they were before. Think that there's no way their product could fail and be obtuse and weird about it. I don't think they're going to do that.
You saw Microsoft throw it down the drain, like easy peasy in one E3.
Yep,
that's all. That may be why Sony's not doing an E3 this year.
Yeah, so if we're talking about what I want to see them avoid, what I want to see them avoid is not. I don't want to see them try and do anything that's going to be crazy. Do what they've already done that we know works, and that's focus on games and focus on exclusives. And that looks exactly like what they're doing. They're still doing it in PS4. We're going to see that carry over into the PS5, I'm sure. And if anything, with what we know right now, they're avoiding a lot of these things by being a proper console where we don't know what the rest of the competition is going to do just yet. We know that of all of them right now, Sony's the one that's the closest to a traditional console.
Yeah.
And I think that they're actually doing a good thing by there. But that could be wrong, and I could come back to regret this statement and think Sony maybe should have taken a leap and done something more. But last time they did that with cell architecture and did really weird stuff that was unique and different,
it just didn't work out that well.
It didn't work out for them. So I it's definitely possible, but I think that they're taking the right steps.
Yeah. And last question up, once again, from Sean Neo on Twitter. He says, could you ever see yourself walking away from gaming for good? What extreme measures would cause this for you? I'll tell you, the only one thing I think that would do it would be an all-streaming future that is in the current internet environment we're in. I would not play games.
Oh, yeah.
Like if everything was streamed and you had to stream every game, and we have the current ISPs that we have now, we have the current FCC laws in place that we have now, we have the current data caps that we have now, I would just stop. I wouldn't even try. It would not be worth the hassle of trying to play a game. Definitely
certain games, right? Can you imagine playing Nier Automata streams?
Oh, yeah, dude, you couldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
you couldn't play Bloodborne, Dark Souls. You could play any game like that. You couldn't play Destiny 2, especially PvP.
Bloodborne and Dark Souls were both 30 frames per second at launch, and I think that they wouldn't be as bad. You still wouldn't want that. Huh?
Was it Nier?
Nier is 60 frames.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Nier Automata, specifically. Platinum always makes sure their games run 60 frames per second as an action game, which was a big improvement over the first Nier's 30 frames per second that would drop a lot. But that was made by Cavia, but a different developer. So I'm with you to an extent, though I will say I can even tell that you were actually still surprised by the PS Now that I let you play. That we talked about at the end of one episode where I said, if you stay, I'll let you play Oblivion.
Yeah, it wasn't
and you
that
played
bad. But I will say that like in moments that I know our internet does go to crap, especially later at night when our internet can fluctuate, is just like when I'm typically playing games.
Do you want to risk it?
Yeah, and that's why I'd probably quit.
Yeah, I could see it. Because what would end up happening is like you try once or twice, it wouldn't work the way you wanted to.
You just get frustrated.
And you
it's just like, what's the point? Yeah, you get more frustrated than even like having fun with a game. So
I think that's a pretty good answer. Honestly, my real answer is I don't know that I really could. It's so hard for me to even fathom it because gaming is my primary form of entertainment. Like I don't really watch a comparable amount of TV or movies. I spend most of my time and energy in terms of creative art consumption and specifically music and gaming. And while I love music, I get to do that in areas where I can't do things like gaming or TV or movies because I can listen to music while I'm working. I can listen to music while I'm in my car. So I get to consume that in terms of visual-based media. I think that's specifically games has got a real stranglehold. I do watch a little bit of TV. I do watch a little bit of movies, but it's the ratio is insane.
I would go back to books.
So it's kind of hard for me to imagine really what could be done. Because honestly, worst case scenario, I just get to play all the PS3 games I already love over again to an extent, which is not what I want. I like the idea of constantly getting to play new games that are at the very least trying to innovate, but.
Yeah, I'd probably buy one of those hacked GBAs I've been wanting for a
while.
while.
But I think
now.
I'm with you. Streaming would be weird. We have data caps, and they've gotten better. Actually, a lot better. I didn't realize my data cap was 15,000 now.
15,000 or 1,500?
15,000.
I didn't realize ours went up to that either.
Yeah, because mine was 900.
You still have the streamer plan, right?
200 megabytes per second, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I have. We have the same plan.
And we went from 900 megabytes 900 gigabytes as a data cap to 15,000.
Do you keep having Windstream people come up to your door trying to sell you internet?
Yes.
Dude literally came up to me. It was the creepiest salesman in the world, dude. He like knocked on the door and he stood there. He was like waving in the peephole, and I was like, "Who is this?" Like I peeked open the door and I was like, "Can I help you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just want to see where we're Windstream." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I already had somebody come by like last week. I have good internet." He's like, "Yeah, but they're just gouging you guys." I'm like, "They're not. What I do requires good internet, and my hobbies require good internet." He's like, "I'm gonna tell you right now. You game?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, I have Windstream, dude. We bought over an Xbox and we watched some Netflix one night. It's like worked perfectly fine. I'm like, that's cool and all, but I don't just watch Netflix. And he was like, "Man, here's my card. Call me if you ever need me." And I just like looked at him like, "Okay." Closed the door, locked it, and made sure you heard that bolt swing home because dude was an ass.
That's a weird thing.
Moving on to Discord.
Oh yeah.
We have Mr. Pumpkin. He says, "Have you got any decals on your consoles?" And to follow up with that, Donovan, I think, asked this purposely. He said, "Have you got any decals on your cars or computers?" So if I have a handheld device, I typically have a decal on it. I don't have a decal on my Switch, but that's because I know I'm going to get a new Switch soon. Like I'm either going to wait until like November when they hopefully have another one coming out, or just whenever Animal Crossing comes out. Whatever comes first, we got to get another Switch, and I'm going to throw a D-brand on that. But that's it. I don't have a decal on my car, my computer, another console of any kind. Like I did have a sticker on my old PS4, and I did that to cover up a big old scratch that was on the top of the hard drive cover. That like those things just easily scratch up for no reason.
It was really pretty, and I love it, but they do scratch very easily.
But so nothing like that on any of my stuff.
I'm in the same. If you can't tell, if you ever watch visual, you'll see my laptop is nice and clean. My cars are nice and clean. I'm a very minimalist person. I have a really hard time putting stickers on anything because I don't. It's the same reason I have a hard time getting a tattoo. It's a commitment, and once you slap that sticker on there, it really.
Gugon can't take off a tattoo though.
Gugon is way too much work. From every experience I've ever had with it, every time I've ever had to take a sticker off and it's left residue behind, Gugon works to an extent, but I always end up seeing like a little bit of an outline left of everything.
See, that's
and it bothers me.
My go-to thing is that if I get a scratch or something on the like, if you guys ever see this laptop sticker bombed, it's because there's a scratch or something on it that's bothering me, and like I'll cover it up.
That's too deep to ignore.
I have to have like pretty. And luckily, after throwing it in my bag, for and coming over here twice a week, sometimes it's just like. It's like still brand new looking.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things though that like I can't have scratches on any of my stuff. Hence why I put decals on my handhelds because those things often go in bags and with me everywhere. So I got to keep those things in mint condition. But to tie back Justin's question on Twitter with Kiki's, what is your best gaming memory? And his is a little weird. It's in the early 2000s. So it's a little bit different. I forgot about the in the early 2000s point.
Mine's late 2000s technically, and I just have one that like my answer is so vivid, just like what he's talking about, where it's like you can just remember it, but there's a reason behind mine.
I'll let you say yours because mine does fall in the early 2000s, so I get to answer both of them kind of because it's my favorite memory technically.
Cool. My gaming memory that's like stuck with me 100%. Justin Rose question crystallized my memory. In the summer between 8th and 9th grade. In the summer between 8th and 9th grade, so the way our school system works, 7th to 8th is considered junior high, and then when you get into 9th through 12th, you're in high school. Not every school system does that.
Right.
So in the summer between 8th and 9th, about to be going to new school or whatever, me and Devin used to go skateboarding all day, every day, without fail. So my schedule would be something like this. I would wake up at around 12.
Yep.
Yeah.
As we did when we were young.
Yeah, I would wake up around 12, but there's a real good reason why as well. I would wake up around 12. We'd go skateboard around until somewhere close to about 6 or 7. Come back to his house. His mom would cook us food. We'd end up eating. And then what would happen is around 8 to 9, I would go home, go in my room, log into a game that's an MMO. This is probably the last real big MMO I played outside of RuneScape in terms of really put a crap load of time into, and that's Silk Road Online. And I talk about the game a lot. I think I even reasoned it recently.
Last episode, yeah. So squared 110.
Yeah, but anyway, Silk Road. What would happen is I would get on, and I had friends that I played with that I never met in person, but actually, it's a friend, and it was just one of those weird things. It wasn't any like, you know how a lot of the MMOs would be like buying girlfriends, stuff like that, and people dating online like WoW and whatnot. Hey, if that's what you're into, I don't care. That wasn't that for me, but there was a girl that I hung out with and played the game with, and what we would do is we'd play the whole game together, and then every now and then, because we had weird schedules, she'd get off about halfway through me playing, and then every now and then we'd buy gifts for each other and stuff like that. When she logged on, like, hey, I saw this item and it fits your build really well, so I bought it for you and I'm just going to trade it to you. And she would do the same for me. She'd be like, hey, I came across this item, and it was real cool. I really liked it.
Wasn't it?
Name was Destiny. No.
Oh, okay.
I talked to her on team chat and everything, or team speak. Sorry. So if it was, which I didn't care anyway. It wasn't like romantic at all. It was just like, we're friends. I'd see, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it was like a real nice, innocent way of thinking about somebody else instead of yourself. I'm like, I want to buy that for her. And I never expected her to pay me money back or anything, but it got to the point where we were just buying each other items. And it was like, so we were never really in each other's debt, if you really think about it, because we were always giving each other things. But I would do that until literally until 6 o'clock in the morning. My stepdad would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, take a shower and shave. And what I would do is I'd really get off of that game around 5:30. And then the last 30 minutes of my morning, I would go into the kitchen and my stepdad would be coming in and he would make his pimento cheese sandwich that he took with him to lunch every day while I was making a bowl of cereal that I would eat right before I went to bed. And that was my schedule every single night, the entirety of that 6 weeks. I did not do anything else.
I miss summer breaks.
Dude, the summer breaks are crazy. How did they feel like they were a year?
I know.
It's like, I literally think now, okay, 6 weeks, right? If I think right now, 6 weeks ago, I don't even know. Like 6 weeks ago, if you told me
episode 104.
Okay, look, a perfect example. I would say at this point, we're getting real close to being, we're a month right now. And I only know that because I'm looking at the calendar. We're a month away from me going to see Dance Gavin Dance with Blaze, right? And Periphery. But,
which means that was a month away from me getting my haircut.
So anyway, that does not feel like a month ago.
It doesn't. It feels like 2 weeks ago at most.
So sense of time just gets crazy as you get older.
Haircut.
But yeah, that's my crystallized gaming memory. I mean, I remember every aspect of it because I did the same thing every day. My stepdad still remembers it. We talk about it every now and then because it was so funny. He'd wake up, I'd already be in the kitchen. He'd come in, start making his pimento cheese sandwich. I'd hand him stuff because I knew what he was going for. And he'd hand me the milk whenever he was going to get his pimento cheese. I'd hand him a knife. It was funny.
So what was your favorite memory in the early 2000s? Or was that technically... Well, no.
That was late 2000s.
Yeah,
that was probably
2006 or 7.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably right. Early 2000s, I'm going to specifically go towards Morrowind. It was the first time I stumbled into the Elder Scrolls series. I'd never heard of it prior. Went to Walmart, and it was one of those weird situations where I didn't have a console because we were really poor, but my mom had just gotten fired from a job where she was working at a place where when she would do certain things, she'd get points for being like a good customer service rep. And if she got so many points, the company would allow them to, and this was when it was Valor Telecom, so before Windstream, the company would allow them to spend points on different items. And my mom bought me my first guitar with that, and my mom bought me a computer with that. So I had my first little, oh Lord, what's the company? Compaq that HP owned.
Gateway owned that, didn't they?
No, Compaq was HP. But anyway, in that situation, I got that computer, and then I didn't have a console for like about 6 months, and we were at Walmart, and my mom was like, hey, Grandpa gave me some extra money to give y'all stuff to do or whatever, so go pick a game out. And I didn't know what was going on. I came across the Morrowind case that was a Game of the Year edition that had Tribunal and Blood Moon on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to grab this. And I didn't know what I was doing. I got home and I installed it. I was super confused because it's a weird game. And I was young. And I was like, all right, this is weird, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. And I played through it. And I remember being so taken back by the world, 'cause like I never played a game like that at all. It was like, what's this huge open world? What is this weird Silt Strider flea thing that takes me to other cities? What console commands was like a new world to me because I didn't know about that at all.
That was Halo 1 on PC for me.
I accidentally stumbled into that, right? I hit console and it came up and I was like, what the hell is a console command? So I started searching online and I was like, what? And then I was just like, I'm going to load my boy down. And I was like, Daedric armor. My character wasn't leveled up, so I couldn't move because I didn't have enough strength to wear all the crap that I was wearing. Fun times and a fun game, and also got me very tied into that series. Really, and then me and Donovan would just play Elder Scrolls Oblivion whenever it came out, nonstop. It was so good.
See, mine for both my favorite and the early 2000s is that like there was a time where like during the summertime with me and my little brother. My dad would have to go to work at 7:30, so he would literally wake me and my little brother up every morning in the summer, and he would take us to my mom and stepdad's house, and we would typically get there and fall back asleep for like an hour or two, and then go grocery shopping with her. But the older I got, and this was like 2003, I think, so I was like around 12 years old or something. Or no, I would have been 11, 10, 11, 12 years old. But we would play Halo at Seth's house, Big Seth's house.
Okay.
Not my brother's.
Right around the corner?
Yeah, we would sit there all day long because his mom was a teacher, but she would go to the school a lot, like to do her like what is it called, the syllabus. She would get all of her syllabus done for like
during the summer.
Yeah, during the summer. Even Seth has to do that now. Like he's off here in the next couple of weeks, but he has to still go in like on a couple days a week basis or even one day a week. Yeah. To keep his learning stuff updated. And to clean up his classroom and stuff. But it was very rare that his mom was gone for a full day. But when she was, we would always go over. And like that was when we were kids and we had to ask to play inside. And we didn't ask. It would be all always outside. But we would literally listen to Limp Bizkit, play Yu-Gi-Oh! And Halo all day long. And one specific memory I had was during winter break. It was always the same kind of like layout for us. It was wake up early, go to mom's house, go over to Big Seth's house, knock on the door. Can you come out and play today? And play video games. We had these like little electric scooters and little mopeds. And we would ride our little moped over there, and it was getting kind of chilly and crisp. And it was, winter break, which for us was around the 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, because we got winter break and we got Thanksgiving break.
I don't recall at all.
Okay, I think it was like the last week of October or something. But we got over there, we were playing Halo 1 and we were just playing multiplayer, and like I remember it got like really, really cold. Like really, really cold in that house, and we're like, what's going on? And like we left the garage door open and there was like a raccoon in the garage, but the garage door was down. Okay. And we were like terrified. We just simply closed the garage door and went back to playing Halo. So,
see, what's weird about that is that there are so many like weird memories that you just get tied to things. You know how like sometimes like a smell can bring you back to something, or a sound can bring you back to something. So many of mine are tied to gaming. Like, I think I know I've said it on here at least once. I laughed at that. Anyway, I know I've said it on here at least once, but like every single time that I listen to Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, I had
Dude, that was a part of it too.
Uncontrollable urge to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on PS1.
Yeah, that was part of it. For 100%, like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit.
What's the Limp Bizkit album? Chocolate Starfish?
Chocolate Starfish, yeah. And then Meteora / Hybrid Theory for Linkin Park. And then Papa Roach, stuff like that. My Chemical Romance. It was all like really good time. But to follow up Kiki's question, he says, what was your favorite website in the early 2000s? Gaming website. Mine was High Impact Halo.
Yeah, don't say website. In the early 2000s, I was a wee adolescent. The web was my oyster.
My daddy taught me about the history function one day. It's like, I can hit this button combination here and pop up the history. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, boy.
Whoops.
I'll tell you, being a kid is so fun sometimes, but it's also incredibly embarrassing.
It was like one time one of my friends who I've mentioned before, and I'm not going to say who it was just in case he ever watches, but he was like, I got grounded because I spilt stuff all over my computer, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Why'd you get grounded for that? It was an accident. He's like, I can't hang out for 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay. So like 2 weeks later, like, no, I got caught watching porn. It was like he got caught watching porn, and like all the viruses just screwed his computer up, and he just lied to us about like spilling something on it. But
see, I was hoping that the story was going to take the turn that he spilled something on purpose because his mom was going to
No. He was
how great of a story would that be? My mom was going to click the history tab, and I was walking by with a bowl of cereal. I said, "Oh," and just milk went all over the computer. But I saved my dignity.
He was a smart boy, but he was too scared.
It's not even about that. You could be a smart boy, but when you're that age, it's just everything gets the best of you. There's a great Louis C.K. joke. I don't know if you've ever heard, where he's talking about like he goes, 12-year-old boys are just walking around, and like 10 to 12-year-old boys are just walking around pressing their dick against everything.
I have heard that.
And I was like, I remember the first time he said, I was like, that's like the truest thing ever. It's like, you just like, what?
Well, see, and
but okay, go back to the question.
High Impact Halo was mine. So Halo 2 involved a glitch called super jumps, and not only did it like that was like the pinnacle of glitching in those games, and it had a really, really big community for glitching. But it also had stuff like Warthog jumps, and like where you would basically play co-op with someone, and you would I can't remember the level. It's like the second level on Halo, the Covenant.
Okay.
And you would basically have your friend go over there, stand behind a Warthog, and you'd kill him. And they would drop grenades. And in Halo, the grenades all detonated if you threw one on top of the ones on the ground that you would pick up as ammo. So you basically would kill your friend 3 or 4 times, get a big old pile of grenades going that you wouldn't pick up, but then you would get in the Warthog and he would throw a grenade and he'd hit you and you'd launch across the level. And that was pretty much a website dedicated to skips and stuff and super jumps and Warthog
I think
jumps.
I actually know what you're talking about because didn't you do something on High Impact Halo later down in line? Or am I remembering something wrong?
I got featured on Bungie.
Okay.
I got featured on Bungie for the sticky grenade.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yeah,
for those that don't know, I had a little bit of internet
when I barely
fame.
knew you.
I got on the front page of Bungie. They used to do this thing like where you could submit a clip and then they would do I think 3 or 5 or something like that, and they would do like, and I think it was called This Week at Bungie, which is still the thing that they do for Destiny, which is kind of cool. But I made it to the front page of Bungie during the Halo 3 days because me and my friend were playing in just a team death or team slayer match, I guess, and he threw a sticky grenade at me. Or no, he threw a spike grenade at me, and I threw a sticky grenade at him, and the sticky grenade stuck to the spike grenade, and it flew back and stuck to him. And it's crazy because they actually awarded me the recon armor in Halo 3 for that, which you could only get if you killed. You can get it later down the line, I think for some kind of promotion thing, or maybe even for free. But you could get it by killing another person who worked for Bungie. And they had flaming heads in Halo 3.
Gotcha.
And if you killed them or something, or if you beat them, then I think that they would go to your profile and unlock it for you. Like they would just. Actually,
I don't know anything about that. Yeah, it's probably set up in the game as if it realizes that it's a
well, it was
developer.
A really, really cool armor in Halo. But yeah, High Impact Halo was the thing for that because that was the dope, the cool website for all the kids. But yeah, it's some of the coolest looking Halo 3 armor that you could customize.
I gotcha. If we're talking about specifically like gaming journalism and are specific to it working around like an existing game, kind of like a forum and different things like that. Game Facts real early on was something I like to go to a lot. The little forums set up because you could learn a lot of information about weird stuff. Game Facts is where I learned most of the stuff and how to play Morrowind and all the weird back end stuff that you could do in Morrowind, and also how the Morrowind. I can't remember what they call it now, but their level editor that came with the game for free, so that you could mod if you just would learn how.
Snap Map?
It wasn't called Snap Map.
Oh, that was Doom's thing.
Doom,
wasn't it?
Doom was Snap Map. But this one, I can't remember what it was called, but it came with Bethesda stuff, and it was a level editor so that you could mod your own stuff in. And it came in the case and said, if you know how to do this or want to learn, then you can easily do it. And that was kind of cool. I messed around it for a little bit. Some of my earliest examples of being able to do anything in a game, though not very well, and I didn't do it for long. So, but if we're talking about gaming in general, and I can cheat, RuneScape. I was on that RuneScape grind constantly. Boy, constantly. So good. All right, let's see. Next question up is
Boba May.
So Mr. Josh Shoop. And let's see. He says, how good are your Macho Man Randy Sack?
I'm not good at those at all.
Okay, hold on.
I'll rip my throat out.
My biggest thing about all those is I always have to get super loud, and I hate that because I feel like
blow our mics out.
Yeah, well, I think that even when you're trying to show somebody an impression,
just
in
roll
public,
back like 2 feet because it's.
Oh yeah,
that's not 2 feet. You just peaked really hard on the mics.
Good.
But yeah,
I'm
I was
glad
gonna say
did.
yeah.
You got 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
See, I can't.
It's pretty
do
good.
That. No, that would
I think
kill my throat.
Yeah.
I have amazing Jim Jar impression, which is a D&D character that I made.
Oh yeah, that was a really fun one to hear. Though I know why you blew your voice
Dude,
out.
I'm telling you, it's because I was not properly voicing that character. But
You kind of reminded me of Jizargo from Skyrim. I think I've already told you that because it's just the way that you were talking and like being kind of shady and moving around.
Yeah,
good times.
Let's see. Sean May says, "Is there a PlayStation 1, PS2, or PSP game that you're really passionate about? Mine from the PS1 days is Grandia. I guess is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm. Grandia.
Or is it Grandia? Oh, yeah, it is Grandia.
Yeah.
PS2 days is Radiata Stories.
But
Radiata Stories. That does not sound like a real game. And PSP game, Brave Story New Traveler, because it's based on my favorite novels.
The only one that I actually didn't play or even have very much memory of, but I know the name, is that Brave Story New Traveler. The other two I've played. I enjoyed them. I didn't beat either of them. So I enjoyed them as much as I could. Those were during my poor kid days where I got to barely play games because I'd borrow them from people or rent them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But let's see, a PS1 game that you're really passionate about.
Honestly, I would go check out episode 1 if you haven't, because we did a lot of that in there. And
yeah, we definitely did. It's very our podcasting skills were not set in stone at all.
No, so you can actually laugh at us in episode 1. But yeah, if I had to very quickly do it, PS1 would probably be Crazy Taxi. PS2 would probably be Final Fantasy X, and PSP would probably be.
PS1 had Crazy Taxi.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Well, I mean that was a Sega game until Sega stopped, right? So I think
not Crazy Taxi. It's that stupid. I don't know why I get this confused always, and they're two separate games.
Yeah, never.
It's that BMX racing game, or not BMX racing game. Bicycle racing game. It wasn't even BMX. I could never think of it either. Either that or Spyro. But it's a bike racing game, like where you could play like.
I know what you're talking about. Like
Tour de France.
In my head, I know what you're talking about.
But
and I don't know why I can't. Was it this one, the 2 Extreme? Nope.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't anything extreme about it. It was like just bicycle. It was
just bicycle racing. I know.
Yeah.
It's killing me that I can't think of what this game was, because if it's the one I'm thinking about, I remember the case and everything. You know what I mean?
But yeah, like for PSP, I'd probably go War of the Lions, even though that's technically a cheat answer for PS1.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this game was like, it was almost very boring, and like it.
Boy, Jet Moto was good.
Yeah, it is not. No, see,
was it this one right here? This Ricky Carmichael Championship Motocross?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't motocross.
It was like actual like motorcycle things, right? Or like crotch rocket looking.
No, it was bicycles.
Oh, straight up real bicycles.
Straight up real bicycles.
And it was racing?
And it was racing.
Then I don't know. Yeah, because you did say Tour de France. I'm an idiot.
I played it a lot at my cousin Brett's house. Not you, because I said my cousin. But yeah, my cousin Brett's house. Actually, I bet if you ask Seth, he might know. Because we played it a lot.
There's that new one for PS4, Le Tour de France.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Is that an actual game series?
I mean, like it's just a new game. I don't know if I'm not finding one. Well, there goes one right there for PS2. So I guess it is a game series. So that's interesting.
This was specifically PlayStation 1 because the graphics, I remember the graphics being terrible.
Well, yeah, but then again, dude, that's true.
No, we actually had PS2s at this point.
Okay. Who knows, man?
He did not have, oh, here it is right here. Nope. Never mind. I saw what started like a starting line.
All right. Well, let's see. Okay, so you said that's your PS1 one?
Yeah.
What's PS2?
PS2 is Final Fantasy X, and then PSP is War of the Lions. And that's a cheat.
Yeah, I don't think it is because War of the Lions added a lot that wasn't in the original game. Not only in gameplay and stuff like that, even though some of it was hated. Jonathan could not get over the fact that instead of throwing the rock, you'd cast it. That's what it'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was cast, but they changed some of the language up. It was like more Old English style.
Is it Career Crisis?
I don't know. Okay, let's see. PS1.
No.
Oh man, this can be real hard. PS1, if we're talking about really passionate about, Crash Bandicoot. PS2/PS1 because it came out on both. Dave Mirra BMX 1 and 2. Oh, I love those games so much. Though there are other great PS2 games, but those don't get enough mention from me, so I'm going to say those for now. And PSP, man, I'd say my favorite PSP game.
The Coheed and Cambria Welcome Home music video.
It
came with the demo disc.
Was it that? I thought it was Blood Red Summer.
No, it was Blood Red Summer. Yeah, it was 3 Days Grace. It was that 3 Days Grace.
I Hate Everything. Oh, it was that one? Yeah, that's right. No, for PSP, my favorite game is most like. I mean, realistically, it's really hard for me not to say Crisis Core because it probably is my favorite game on that system. There are a couple of other really great mentions. I mean, I did really love, even though it's not on it now, I did really love Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep on there. Daxter was also really good. So were the God of War games. I mean, it was a great system across the board. But I'm going to stick with Crisis Core. Great question.
Great question, Sean. Let's see. Kiki says, do you think game controllers are going to evolve even further? I hope not.
They are, but I'm curious to see exactly how. They are definitely going to evolve further, but in what way? One of the things Saul and I have talked about in the past is like, I think some of the ideas sound cool in a really, really quick, like if somebody's just thinking like, wouldn't it be cool if the game did this? But then it's like, you start to take too much away from what makes a game work and be good and like lets you relax. Do you remember, there was some talk about biometric scanners being on controllers so they could feel your heart rate and stuff. It's going to ruin it. You know, it doesn't matter. The game shouldn't necessarily take into account whether you're scared or not. The goal of the game is to scare you. Is it going to change the way it's scaring you based off of what you're doing? Oh, no!
Speaking of ruining it.
Hold on. It's not that easy.
Sure it is. Oh, no, it's not. I'll turn mine on. We forgot the RGB lights for those that are watching the the video version.
Why you gave me the broken controller?
Why do you have a broken controller just sitting over there? But no, Kiki, I don't believe. I mean, I know they will. I just don't really want them to. Blake asked a good question. If you were a Mortal Kombat character, what would your fatality be? I'm gonna rip your dick off.
Woo! Ouch. My fatality would be to pull their checkbook out, sign a blank check, make them sign a blank check with their thing, and then recreate the entire plot of blank check.
Yeah, there you go. I was actually thinking that, like when you said that, I squinted. I'm like, I know he's not gonna go to blank check.
Yes, I will. The whole fatality will be this: he's gonna the fighter will be going. He's gonna somehow step on my bike, damage it, and then I'm gonna reach out and pull his checkbook out and be like, "Get over here!" That's what I'll do. I'll have a scorpion chain. And I'll reach and grab it and pull it back to me. Mark some stuff down on it. You know, like sign this.
Acts like you own Mac computers. Because did he do that? Or his name was Macintosh. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Mr. Pumpkin says, Inception. What is the best question you have been asked? I definitely can't answer that.
Dude, I love this question, though.
I do too, but I can't answer it. But what I can say, my favorite genre of question asked is anything involving a memory.
Yeah.
Like going back, like what we did previously about the early 2000s. I like questions like that.
Well, because like you get like a hit of nostalgia. You get like
and it's like it's always interesting to talk about your past self. Like you get to relive the memory, and it just helps embed it in you longer.
And it's kind of like what we're doing with the off topic. It's kind of the biggest thing about it, and why we like Reader Mail in the first place is that the normal podcast is so differently driven because it's news driven and topic driven because it's based around one thing. But what makes Reader Mail so fun, and then the upcoming off topic podcast that we have coming real soon. Is that it just gives us time to kind of talk and reminisce, and it lets you guys get to know us better, and it hopefully spurs y'all to give us information that would be cool about stuff like that and your thoughts on some of these questions so we can hear some of your memories, which would be really cool. And sometimes we get that when you're asking the question, which we love. So Kiki, what was your favorite early 2000s memory? And Justin, you already said yours, so I appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So yeah, I mean, I agree that that's the best type of question. Oh man, which one is really hard? I'd have to really think about it. El Chabib asks great questions. Every time he seems to have taken a sabbatical on asking questions, but he asked us a question every week for a long time. So we appreciate you, El Chabib. Hope you're still out there doing well.
Thank you, El Chabib. It'd be nice to hear from you soon.
Also, before I forget, our boy, our patron, and our recent listener who's very nice, Mr. Justin, that asked the question that we were talking about, is getting married this week, as far as I know.
Congratulations on your marriage.
Yeah, so having a bachelor party and everything. So congrats, buddy. And I hope everybody else in the community give you a good congrats if they see you anywhere. But outside of that, let's see. Next question up is
Kiki saying, how do you deal with itchy balls in public? You don't.
It depends on how itchy.
I always have the nerves of steel to ignore them.
Okay, but you're not going to tell me that you don't even at least try when you have like the itchy balls and you try and do like the side step to stretch your legs a little bit to try and see if maybe just positioning your skin a little differently will help.
I mean, that doesn't count.
Well, but I mean, you're still dealing with your itchy balls.
I guess so, but that's just more making myself comfortable.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with the classic. If I'm in a position,
pull?
No, the pocket pull is one, but the pinch and roll.
Disgusting. No, you're really disgusting.
Pinch and roll works.
Don't
through
ever
pants.
shake Brett's hand.
I don't put my hand. I do it through my pants if I have to, and that's not often. But every now and then, if you're in public and you have a quick little window of opportunity, you can say, "Okay, 1 second, pinch, roll, got that boy. Let's get going." It's all.
Nope. For those that are listening on audio only, he just outreached his hand for me to shake. Mr. Pumpkin comes around again and says, what has been your favorite controller of any console? Would you change anything about the current PS4 controller? Which controller would you import to PlayStation from any other old or new gaming device?
Real quick before we answer, we've been forgetting to mention all of these people are patrons. Mr. Pumpkin, yes. Oathkeeper, not all of them, but most of the people that are asking questions are patrons. So thank you guys. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can do so by going in the link below or going to patreon.com/Nartech.
And get these episodes out.
Give us as little as $1 if you want to, just to support us, or go up to that $5 or $7 depending on where you live and get some cool custom cases.
Is it $1 a month just to support us? You also get the things early.
Yeah. So if you're a patron at all, you get you get reader mail early, and you'll get the off topic early as well.
And soon to be Triangle Squared, I think too, right? Once we figure out our scheduling for that.
Yeah. If it stays where we're at, you'll get it a little bit early.
Yeah, because now we record on Sunday and then it uploads on Monday, and it actually takes a while for that to record or process. But honestly, if I had to be 100% honest with myself, the Xbox One controller is my favorite. However, if I could change the analog sticks to be the PS4 analog sticks, that'd be the perfect controller in the world. Which is why I hold
on. I think if you could change the Xbox One analog sticks to be the PS4
analog sticks, yeah. Like if I could take the PS4 analog sticks off that controller and put it on the Xbox controller, it'd be the best.
Okay, I thought that you liked the Xbox One analog nub, is why. Or not the nub, but the analog feel.
No. It's the similar reason why I did not like the PS3 controller much last gen is there's too much dead zone. It's not too much dead zone, but they're way too sensitive, and it feels great.
So there's not enough dead zone.
Not enough dead zone, I guess would be what it was. Yeah. Other than that, the PS4 controller is the best controller, but that's why I liked the Nacom Revolution controller so much, is because it essentially was a PS4 Xbox hybrid, and it felt really, really comfortable in my hands. And I like really big.
Do you still have
controllers. Yeah, it's just that actually had the problem.
I was going to say it was the one that messed up on you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually the one that messed up on me. And I could have gone through Amazon to get claims and stuff because I actually emailed them to see if they would send me out a replacement, and then I would send them theirs. But they always do the thing like where it literally they have to send it out to me. And then I have to put it in a box and send it back for 6 weeks for repair, and then send it back. I didn't want to do all that.
Do you have any interest in the Astro C40?
I do. I almost bought one at Best Buy the other day.
I had a feeling that you would at least be interested.
It's just hard to take the $200 for that and just...
Sure, but the idea of being able to literally move the analog stick depending on game, if that's something that even matters to you, say that if you're playing a shooter and you really want the asymmetrical analog stick for that because you prefer it, then you could do that. But if there's another type of game that you feel like isn't as much, and you would would you even do that? Would you bring it back down, or would you just set it up one way and go?
I'd probably just set it up one way and go. Either way, honestly, like I played Xbox 360 for so long, and I grew up playing PS2 and Xbox, so it's just like I don't really care what analog direction they are.
My favorite controller at this point is also the PS4 controller, but mine actually does come down. I just think it's more comfortable, and I really don't care for the asymmetrical analog personally. And what I've always found funny is I have pretty big hands, and so does Saul. But I noticed a lot of people really said that the PlayStation controllers always felt small in their hands, which I do think the DualShock 4 has addressed quite a bit. They stanced them a little further apart. The controller's a little bit bigger, and it feels a little more in my... I thought the PS3 controller was my favorite controller until the DualShock 4 came out, and that was with enjoying the 360 controller outside of the analog stick thing, outside of the D-pad. It's like weird. I didn't mind the controller, but the D-pad on the Xbox 360 controller was awful.
It was very terrible.
And the D-pad on the DS3 was great.
And the D-pad on the Xbox One is they're both
it's
really
a lot better.
Good. Yeah, they're both really good D-pads.
A lot better. Definitely for fighting games, because I hated playing fighting games on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
It was really hard to use, and typically in fighting games I end up using the D-pad. It just feels more at home. But if I'm going to talk about favorite controller of any console, as much as it is that, it's also a little bit of points toward the Dreamcast. And just because it was so weird for its time period and really unique with the being able to plug in and plug out, which I actually like the idea of removable rumble. I thought that if you just don't want it, which I know that it's simple now, right? You can just go into a menu and turn it off if you really wanted to. That's how they would program.
N64 had that too.
Yeah, I know.
The Rumble pack.
Yeah,
and the expansion pack too, which added like 2 megabytes of RAM to the console or something, or 4.
What a weird.
Couldn't play Majora's Mask without it, but you had to buy Donkey Kong 64 to get it.
That's what I said. You couldn't play Donkey Kong 64 without it either, could you?
Well, it came with it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway. Yeah, I really like the Dreamcast, and if for any reason y'all just skipped over the Dreamcast and just don't know too much about it, go check out the controller. It's really interesting. The way it dealt with memory cards were really cool. It had what's called a VMU, virtual memory unit, and what would happen, one of my favorite things about it is at the time period it was really futuristic feeling. So you plug a memory card in, there's a screen cut out on top of the controller because the memory card had a screen, and you plug it in, and when you were playing a game, it would realize what game you were playing, and like say you were playing Sonic Adventure 2 and you were playing a level of Sonic, it would have a like drawn out pixel art thing of Sonic's head on the memory stick screen, and if you switched over to Tails, it would be one of Tails, and if you switched over to Knuckles, it'd be one of Knuckles. That was really cool. One of the other things that you could do, you could send your chows to it and pull them out, and it acted as a Tamagotchi pet where you could move them around and feed them and walk with them and stuff, and that was really cool. And I just think that as far as that thing goes, it was an interesting idea, and also it was very much, if you really look, I really believe, and I haven't seen this to be completely true, but I really believe that the earliest Xbox controller, and even as we know the Xbox controller now, is very much inspired by the Dreamcast. Definitely if you think about the earliest Xbox controller that didn't have L1 and R1, and it just instead had the black and white button on the front.
Which I never liked that, actually.
It's very similar to the Dreamcast. Dreamcast does not have L1 and R1. It just has shoulder buttons and a single analog stick.
Yeah. So,
weird times, but it was a cool system, and I still have my Dreamcast, and I still love it.
We have a massive quickfire round coming up. Brett, you ready?
Bam, bam, let's do it.
This is Patreon Kiki. He says, ice cream cone or snow cone?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. I'm going to let you answer them first, by the way, then I'm going to follow up.
Cool.
Mobile games or console games?
Console.
Console. While walking, music or podcast? Quickfire.
Music.
iOS or Android?
Android.
Looks or function?
Function.
Function, yeah. Pop or indie? Music.
Indie.
Okay. Hamburger or taco?
Hamburger.
Couch or recliner?
Recliner.
Yeah, recliner. Online shopping or shopping in a store?
Shopping in a store, actually.
Shopping in a store. Can't try on things online. Email or letter?
Email.
Passenger or driver? Driver.
Yeah, driver.
Tablet or computer?
Oh, computer.
Most important in a partner? Intelligent or funny? This kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. Funny. They have a heart. Yeah. Car or truck?
Truck.
Car. Blue or red?
I rescind, but I can't. So,
yep. Blue or red?
Red.
Blue. Money or free time?
Free time.
Amusement park or day at the beach? Amusement park. Without a day. At a movie, candy or popcorn?
Popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn is the way to go. Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Yeah. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
I was going to say, why is it taking you so long to say over?
It bothers me anytime I think about under toilet paper.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. If you do that, you're the devil. Cups in the cupboard, right side up or upside down?
Oh, upside down.
Right side up if you're not a monster for drawing them out properly. Cake or pie? No, too late.
We'll talk about this later.
No, we won't. Cake or pie? Cake.
Oh, cake.
Swimming or sunbathing?
Oh. Ooh. Swimming.
Yeah. See, you got to do it. That's swimming or sunbathing? Swimming, yep. High tech or low tech?
High tech.
High tech. Big party or small gathering?
Small gathering.
There we go. Magic the Gathering. New clothes or new phone?
Phone.
New phone. Rich friend or loyal friend?
Loyal.
Loyal. Football or basketball?
Neither.
Football. Work hard or play hard? Work hard or play hard?
Work hard.
Yeah. Nice car or nice home interior? Nice home interior.
Nice home interior.
What's worse, laundries or dishes? Dishes. Who the hell doesn't like doing laundry compared to dishes?
Yeah, dishes.
Jogging or hiking?
Jogging.
Hiking. Bath or shower?
Shower.
Shower.
I can't fit in a bathtub.
Sneakers or sandals?
Sneakers.
Sneakers. Glasses or contacts?
Neither.
Glasses.
If we're looking about on a
obviously.
girl, glasses are
I'm going to say
into
glasses
that.
on myself because I can take them off. Blinds or curtain?
blinds.
Blind. Well, yeah, blinds. Can't go back. Train or plane? Heartburn.
Plane.
Plane. Phone or phablet?
Phablet.
Phablet, yeah. Pretty much what we have anyways. Iced coffee or hot coffee?
Iced coffee.
Iced coffee. Meat or vegetables?
Meat.
Meat. International vacation or new TV?
International vacation.
New TV, I need one. Save or spend?
You got one right here for you.
Yeah. Spend.
Save.
I do enough of that already. So I'm going to spend in this
I need to
moment.
do more, so that's my answer for now.
Honesty or others' feelings? Or honesty. I'm not going to save face to hurt your feelings. Honesty or other feelings, Brad?
Honesty. Yeah.
Coffee or tea? Tea.
T.
TV or book?
TV.
Book.
Even though barely.
Movie at home or movie at a theater?
Theater preferably.
Home.
But both are
Hard
good.
home. Like hard answer there. Ocean or mountains? Mountains.
Mountains.
Yeah. Horror movie or comedy movie?
Comedy movie.
Horror. City or countryside?
Countryside.
City. Winter or summer?
Winter.
Winter. I was going to say if you said summer. Mac or PC?
PC.
Console gaming or PC gaming?
Console gaming.
Console gaming. Super sandwich.
Ooh, that's a hard one because I
sandwich.
dip my sandwich in my soup a lot of the time. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Sandwich.
sandwich.
Yeah.
Alright.
World End says, what would you want to? What games do you want to see receive the P5R retreatment? Reworked story with new characters, content, improved graphics, and
Improved
UI.
gameplay / graphics. And
Yeah,
UI.
I can't
This is a
read.
great question because honestly, this is something we've talked about a lot, but this is also a little different because this is the original developer coming back and doing all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, when you think about that, this is the original developer getting to give his original
take on a game that he wanted to in a way.
and to kind
Or
of
a
expand
different
on it
take.
in areas where they couldn't due to time constraints and budget and stuff like that, or maybe even fatigue from sitting on it too long.
Yeah.
So and also it's not too far from the original game's release, so the stuff still probably is fresh in his head.
Yeah.
2
years, right?
Yeah, 2, 3 maybe I guess, but I'm pretty sure 2. We're going on 3 because it was 2017, right?
It's 2019.
I'm saying it was 2017 when the game came out.
Oh, you're talking about this comes out? Yeah, I guess so.
Or no, P5R was, but the announcement because it comes out next year for America. So yeah, it's about 3 years out from the original release in the US or in the West. Another game that I'd like to see, this is going to be kind of a cheat answer. I want to see 15 worked back to the board and brought
Me
back
too.
as 13.
That's
versus.
actually my answer going off of what you said earlier because I didn't have an answer up until then.
Yeah, but I think if I was going to go with another game, I would like to see. Man, Nier, the original Nier, is essentially the closest I can get to this. Give me Nier remade from the ground up, with better textures and stuff right there, and then also expound on it with new characters if needed, new content if needed, improved gameplay, which of course it needs, which is something it needs to borrow from specifically the new Nier Automata. I think it played very well. Give it the Nier Automata graphics at the very minimum, and I think the UI in Automata was also a little bit cleaner. And it wouldn't work from a design thing, but it would be, you could still find a way to update the original Nier's design. One of these days, Saul, I hope it happens because I need you to play the original Nier.
I really want to. I really do. But yeah, I want to say Final Fantasy 15 for mine too because I knew it would be different. Speaking of Final Fantasy, Josh has what looks to be, and correct us if we're wrong, Josh, because we're going to answer them like quick fire, but these look like quick fire questions. Brett, which Final Fantasy character would you identify each other as? I'm going to say you are Zach.
I was going to call you Sid.
I don't like that. I don't know why. Would you rather say is your all-time favorite villain in a video game?
Okay, hold on. I need to.
Nope. Yeah, go
I
back.
only have to clarify because there's so many Sids.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII Sid.
Okay, I kind of like that. Favorite all-time boss in a video game or villain? Xehanort. The Long Con.
Xehanort's a great
quick
one.
fire.
Yeah, Xehanort.
Make a new game series based on an existing universe. Would you like to see Hideo Kojima make?
What new game series based on an existing universe would you love to see Hideo Kojima make?
Yep.
Ooh.
Final Fantasy. It'd be cool.
You know what? I agree. Because think about what Hideo Kojima could have done with Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah. Oh, man. That actually sounds like the game they should have been. Who would you say is the greatest composer of all time is, video games or otherwise?
I forget the name all the time, so you're going to have to forgive me that I have to look this up for a second.
Composer of Nier 2.
But the composer for Drakengard 3, Drakengard, Nier Automata, the original Nier, and...
that's what I was going to say.
It's killing me because I forget it every single time, and I know
I'm not going to say they're the best composer in the world or my favorite composer, but...
Keiichi Okabe.
Yeah, in
or
a
whatever,
quick fire.
however you say that.
And then this one actually does not seem like a quickfire question. So once again, Josh, you got a lot of questions in this episode, though. I don't think he'd care if those weren't meant. But he says, will you guys ever do a segment in which you get fancy kazoos and perform your favorite video game songs for the audience to try and figure out? That person has the most points at the end of the year gets an extreme triangle squared branded kazoo. You're welcome for the idea. You know what? I think he just gave us episode 150 or episode 200.
Dude, that's actually a fantastic idea.
I do too. I like that idea
As ridiculous as it is, I really, that's thinking outside the box in a way that I have not had the time to do in a while. I appreciate that idea.
I think that actually might become a new thing. Like I think for episode 150 or like
one of our celebration episodes
when we stream it, we'll stream a kazoo match. Crash the Animal says, welcome to Triviangle Squared. Okay.
It's a terrible name, but when you read it and you don't try and say it out loud, it's like, yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
Professional.
But it sounds terrible.
He says, in the new Sonic movie, Jim Carrey plays Dr. Robotnik. What American president was Dr. Robotnik designed after? I'm going to say Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
I don't know if that's the answer.
Now, this is the. So you keep that up because I got to go something else. He sent me the answers. Spoiler text, so I haven't seen them, and I will click on them as we go through this, so I can make sure what the answers are. Give me just a second.
That was a guess.
That up.
This is a guess.
Okay, here we are. So one is Theodore Roosevelt. We were right.
Cool. This is a guess. At CES 1991, Sony had partnered with a company to make the original PlayStation. At the company's announcement, however, the company announced they would be working with someone else for CD-ROM games. Who was the company that screwed over Sony in 1991? I was going to say Nintendo.
Now, here's the thing. Sony worked with a couple of people in terms of trying to be a disc-based peripheral. So while I do think that this actually is Nintendo and that's who he's talking about, the only thing I don't know about is the year that it was talked about and branded. I want to say that at one point in time, Sony and Philips... Philips were in discussion, and then Philips backed out and went a different route. So we will find out right now, but those are our two answers. We've got them in the bank. I'm going to say Philips just on the off chance that's what it ends up being, but I do think it is Nintendo.
Yeah, I just never realized who it was.
Nintendo. Sony had signed contracts with Nintendo to create an add-on to be used with the SNES to play CD-ROM media, which, if you didn't know, was going to be called the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Sony announced on the first day of CES they would be doing this. However, during Nintendo's panel, the next morning they announced they would be working with Philips. That's where my brain went weird.
Yeah, like when you said Philips, I was like, I actually remember
That's what it was.
reading something. I was like, no, Philips is not the answer. Philips was the whatever it's called.
So my brain was in somewhat the right. It was in the right room, but not looking in the right corner.
And I actually know the
last
answer
question.
to this.
Here we go.
Why does Dark Souls creator Hidetaka Miyazaki deliberately obscure his game stories? I'm 100% sure know the answer to this.
If I'm not mistaken, and Saw, I do know that you know the answer for sure, but it was because early days he couldn't read the D&D books that he was going through and
he couldn't read anything that well.
Yeah, so I think he had reading problems in general, but he was also reading D&D books that were in English, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
And he couldn't read them, so what he was doing was looking at the pictures and coming up with his own stories.
He wasn't even looking at just the pictures. He would look at phrases that he could kind of understand, and he would take the phrases plus the pictures and piece them together.
Yeah.
An ingenious method for dealing with a story, too, the way he does it.
So here we go. You ready? Let's see if this is it. Miyazaki grew up reading foreign picture books and had to make connections in a story he did not understand. He wants the people enjoying his games to have to make their own connections as he did, which is a great way to get somebody involved in the game. And that's why I talked about with Bloodborne, where, in the last episode, when we were talking about the community's take section, it's one of the great things about Bloodborne. I think it's really easy to say that Bloodborne is not art and that the From games aren't. But I think that there's a very, very purposeful back end thing where he actually does make you want to drive and have your own connection. And that's why certain people who play these games and really get into them can tell you so much more than you can. I played all of these games all the way through, and I know a good bit of the lore, but there are people that trump me so much in knowledge of the lore, including you, that it's just crazy because they cared. Their connection was formed way stronger than mine. I do know some of the things and I care, but it just goes to show you that some people, when they go to make their own connections, drives them further to figure out more things and continue to make their own connections, and then also dig to find out whether their connection is right with what the story is actually trying to tell you to an extent.
Yeah,
So.
that's pretty nail on the coffin.
Great idea, Corey.
I will say though, somebody in our Discord said that video games an art thing, and they said Dark Souls, and I'm talking about you, Blake. I do want to point out that I intended for that question to be, or the answer for those questions to be, what games do you know were intended as art and only art? Like, which is why I did not include Dark Souls. Obviously, Dark Souls is a work of art.
Definitely. And he specifically brought up the level design, which I do
And
agree.
I also know he was partially kidding, because I am too. Love you, Blake. Atlas Unchained, another patron, thank you for the question. He says, is ranch the new ketchup? Honestly, and then Kiki has a question after this that really threw me off too, because it almost made me throw up. But you know what? If I'm at a place that offers both ranch and ketchup, I'm gonna go with both. Like if I get like the honey chipotle chicken crispers from Chili's, they come with ranch. If I have fries sitting there and I have ketchup, I'll take turns dipping in my ranch and my ketchup.
See, I ain't
It's
about
like
that
mayo.
life.
I love mayo too on my fries.
Is your name Mayo?
It is 10,000 taps.
Okay, so is ranch the new ketchup? I hope not, but that's also because I don't play that game, and ketchup is the one and only condiment that you absolutely have to have in your
Right,
kitchen.
don't play this shit. That shit.
Look, I have actually very recently at Winefest this most recent weekend. I told you I got the pig kahuna, and just the only thing I got off of it, despite knowing that the special sauce was on there and barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Something I would normally steer away from. I was like, the only
I'm
thing.
proud of Brett. He's like
and it was good.
developing a taste for barbecue sauce. That's what I like to hear.
But yeah, I couldn't do the pineapple. That's the one thing. I just can't do pineapple.
I can't do pineapple.
So I took that off of
meats.
it. But otherwise, it was a delicious burger. But I don't care for ranch. It's not that I hate it. I can't eat it. Every now and then, my wife has it. I dip it in and go, maybe one of these days I'll start liking ranch more. And I eat it and I go, yeah, it's just kind of eh. I love ketchup. Something, and specifically in when it comes to Kiki's question, which we'll answer in a minute.
Dude, I swear Kiki asked this question out of air. He says buttermilk or ranch.
See, I don't know what he means either.
I think, does he mean like buttermilk ranch or normal ranch? If that's the case, I've never had buttermilk ranch. But buttermilk is literally milk, right?
Yeah, you use it to cook and stuff. But is there a buttermilk dipping sauce specifically?
I think we just got a new ding for Reader Mail, but I do believe you're too late, whoever it is.
Buttermilk ranch dipping sauce recipe. So that's buttermilk ranch.
Buttermilk ranch is a thing, but I've never had it. But the way he's asking the question, like buttermilk or ranch.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Kiki, let us know, because I know you're gonna let us know in the Discord. We'll come back to that question.
The follow-up question is
the
tied into
follow-up question's even weirder, so I'm gonna let you fix that one too, Kiki.
Do you dip your fries in buttermilk or ketchup? I mix it when both are available.
I want to say he mixes buttermilk ranch and ketchup,
And that sounds
which
more
makes
reasonable.
sense because you're not mixing milk and ketchup. Kiki, let us know. We'll expound on this on the next episode, because right now I'm kind of hungry. But
I actually am very hungry, and Saul, we need to get you going. So,
well, that was the last question anyway. So
yep. So we are good. This has been Triangle Squared Reader Mail episode 9. You said 10.
It is
This
10.
is episode 9.
Is it not 10?
We will nip that question in the bud.
It is
right
9. I just
now.
now thought about it because I'm the one that posts the tweeters.
It is 9.
Yeah. Whoops. Episode 9. So sorry to throw you guys off.
So at the beginning of the episode, people go like, "What happened to 9?"
If you before I can realize that you watched it, if you were that wouldn't work. I was gonna say, if you can let me know, like, hey, this is the wrong episode, before I have time to realize you get to this part. But I'm not psychic, so we'll see you guys next time. For
We'll see if anybody else says it and tweets at us before they're finished listening to the episode, or says something in Discord.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't know when it goes up on Patreon. It just goes up whenever
in a minute.
It will. Oh, okay. Well, you guys might be able to know. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 11, and we'll see you guys for episode 12.
Thank you. Thanks to our patrons. We have a couple of new ones still. Chad V, Dan Barber, Josh Jarrell, Matthew Green. My name is Dan. Douglas Below. Sean Santarud, Eric McAllister, Matt Sycamore, Shadowist, Steven Salazar, The Stonard, Travis Below, Blake Popst, Eduardo Palomino, Stefan Swanlin, Coy Live, Philip Laguerre, Corey Hickerson, Brian, Donovan Williams, Justin Rowe, William Digital Spooker, and Mr. Derek Porter. If you would like to support us on Patreon, you can do so by going to the link below or going to patreon.com/Nartech. Thank you.